Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching KTK Plus. I'm your host, Tristan VanBeem, and today I would like to discuss the topic of nutrition. Now, while the government shutdown may be over and some aspects of that shutdown are returning back to normal, I'm sure there are some people out there who are possibly in the East Texas area who are having a hard time paying for the food they need. Many Americans are struggling in today's economy, and some are battling financial struggles that limit how much food they can put on the table. Here with me today is Allie Redding, a dietitian out of Tyler, who is here to discuss how you can best utilize the funds that you have on buying what you or your family needs to function on a daily basis. Allie, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Tristan. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on to KTK Plus. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. And I just want to ask, can you tell me a little bit about your work as a dietitian and how do you help people in the East Texas area reach their goals?
Yes, of course. So I am a private practice dietitian in Tyler, Texas, and everybody's goal is different. And so I really work hard to meet with clients who have different nutritional needs, different health goals. Depends on lab work, past medical history, weight loss, weight gain. I kind of see and work with everybody, all ages. It just depends on where they're at in life and what they're looking to improve for their future.
Now, today, some people may only have a certain amount of money to spend on food every month, and I just wanted to ask you, what groups are best to focus on and getting the proper nutrients day to day?
Yeah, I think this is a really great question. I agree with you. I think it's very timely for the economy that we are in. People are going to the grocery store and trying to make their dollars stretch a little bit farther. So, the first thing that I always tell people is to shop the perimeter of the grocery store because that's where you're going to get the most whole food items. And while there are some items that are going to be more expensive than packaged food, it tends to go a lot further nutritionally. So, you're getting more bang for your buck nutrition wise. Another thing to really think through is how can you prepare more foods at home rather than having to go out to eat? And then what foods can you make that are normally packaged? So one of the things that tends to be pretty easy and go a pretty long way is going to be the rice and beans. You can either buy them canned or make them yourself at home from the package. Both are going to provide a pretty good amount of nutrition there. And then I'm a pretty big fan of frozen food because if you have freezer space, that's going to go a long way too. And again, you maximize your nutritional value there. Whatever foods you can find seasonally in the produce section, those are going to be a little bit cheaper. But the ones that are not in season, you can look for those in the canned food or even more preferably the frozen food section. There's a lot you can do with just those basics of having a grain, which tends to be more economically friendly, and then beans, which tends to be also a more economically friendly protein source, and then fruits and vegetables. If you start with those basics, and then you can build off of that, adding in meat, which may be more expensive, but again, goes a lot farther from a nutrition standpoint with the protein. Dairy is the same way. You can really build a pretty good, balanced, nutritionally dense meal that way.
Now, I like how you brought up energy sources that come from food. We can talk about sugars, proteins, and carbohydrates and stuff like that. So I just want to
Mhm.
ask, is there a more important source of energy that comes from food that we can get? Like I've heard some people say that's protein, some people say that it's carbs because carbs give you that energy throughout the day. So what is your professional opinion on the energy sources that we need? Which one to you is the most important?
Yeah, this is another very topical question since protein has been in the news for a
Hmm.
while now. I do think it's really important to get enough protein. So I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad or something that we need to steer away from. But I will say that going back to that idea of balance, it is a little bit more pertinent, I would say, to focus on getting all of the main macronutrients in our diet. So that's going to be your fat, your protein, and your carbohydrates. So carbs are a quick fuel. That's what makes us feel like we have more energy quicker. And again, going back to those whole food sources, fruits, vegetables, grains, we can buy those in an economical way, and they do provide a lot of nutrition, quick energy, They fuel our muscles, they fuel our brains. It's really important to have carbs. And then protein is also a really important part of that. It, is a repair. It's part of what repairs our body, builds our muscles, hair, skin, nails. There's so many things that protein is important for, and it also increases satiety, meaning it helps our meals go a little bit further. We don't get hungry as quickly, and it's just a better source of fuel, especially if you're trying to monitor your weight, because of that satiety factor, and helps protect lean body mass. And then with our fats, we do get more calories from fats than we do the other two macronutrients. So we still need them in our diet, but we have to be a little bit more particular about where we get them from. So I encourage people to really look at those plant sources of healthy fats like avocados and oils, some of the same foods that have those fatty oils in them are where we also get the oil that we can cook with. So avocado oil, olive oil, similar opportunities there to get the adequate nutrition from our fats.
So it mainly seems like you just have to have a good balance, right? Just make sure that you do need all of these food
Yes.
sources, even though some of them may be bad at times, but everything is okay in moderation. So that kind of just leads me to asking about the different age groups and what they need in moderation. Is there a big difference in what children need nutritionally from adults? Like obviously the portion sizes will be different, but do growing kids need something that us adults typically can go without, or is it more just about making sure that you get those kids away from the bad food?
That's another good question that I think I will answer by saying I think there needs to be more consideration on how to encourage children to eat a larger variety of food, because they really don't know. That's not something that they're initially going to know as they're growing, is that a variety of food is going to help them grow in a more healthy way. Whereas adults kind of know that, they are aware enough of what foods are going to make them not feel as good versus others. Kids are also growing, whereas adults are not growing. And so we want to make sure that kids are getting all the different vitamin sources that they need, which come from different types of foods. That's where the food group variety comes into play. We're getting different nutrition, micronutrients and macronutrients from those different foods. So I would say it's pretty important to expose kids to a variety of food. Now, kids are going to be pickier, but they will learn to have more variety in their diet as they're introduced to more things, and that becomes more normal to them. And then you mentioned, what should we stay away from? So kids and adults are kind of on the same page, as where we can overload on the sugar pretty easily. Sugar,
right.
salt, that sweet savory combination tends to be where we can overeat on foods that don't give us as much nutrient density. So we get more caloric density without the nutrition.
I mean, that makes sense. You don't turn 18 and all of a sudden candy's good for you. So
Yeah,
or candy's good for
exactly.
you or anything like that. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So really focusing on how to help kids learn how to do that in moderation. And sometimes you can ask them how they feel after they eat something maybe that's really high in sugar, or in fried food. Or if they say, oh man, I don't feel very good, kind of bring awareness to, hey, these are foods that sometimes don't make us feel good. So that can be a touch point for learning as well.
All right. And then I know there's a lot of opinions out there from dietitians or nutritionists or professionals just as yourself on common misconceptions about what actual healthy food is. Now, I feel like most people could just assume that's probably your fruits and vegetables, but do you see a lot of different, what's your personal opinion on the kind of healthy foods that are just great for you to eat pretty much on a daily basis?
Great for us to eat on a daily basis.
Well, I mean, too much anything is bad for you, but I just mean on a
Right.
consistent basis, that you can count on if you want to stay healthy.
Yeah, no, that makes me think about how food makes me feel, or makes other people feel. And so that is something I talk to clients a lot about, because what we like can differ pretty drastically, but there is a baseline for what makes us feel good. And there's something to eating more of the foods that make you feel good. Your tastes also develop towards those foods to a degree as well. So going back to the fruits and vegetables, I mean, it's a cliche for a reason. Those foods really do tend to give us more water, more vitamins, minerals. They're the quick energy sources. I go back to that concept of whole grains and whole foods in general, right? If we grow it, or if it grows from the ground, that's probably something that's going to make us feel good. Making your own meat, not getting it as much processed from packaged foods or just from restaurants. those types of things can have a lot of additives, and that can wear on our fatigue. Part of the reason why I think we don't feel good as a nation sometimes is we're just getting a lot of extra stuff in our food from buying it already pre-made.
Well, now that we know what kind of foods to focus on and to get, one thing that I feel people are asking is where can I get the food, especially if I'm in a rough financial situation? And one great thing that I like about the area that we are in is in East Texas, is the East Texas Food Bank, which does an amazing job of helping people stay fed year round. What are some foods that people can get from the East Texas Food Bank that would benefit them in a nutritional way? I know that you may talk to them a little bit earlier on in the week and then also today. What did they tell you?
Yeah, so every food bank is going to be a little bit different, but I was really pleased to hear that the East Texas Food Bank and some of the food banks in our area follow the balanced diet idea as well. So they take the concept of the My Plate and they use that in order to help people focus on what variety of foods to get. So we go back to that concept of they get canned beans, they get rice or a whole grain pasta, they can get fresh or frozen produce of different kinds. They get different types of fruit, and then they're also getting some meat or dairy options during that haul as well. And so we're kind of hitting all the major macronutrients that we just talked about, the carbs, the healthy fats, and the protein. You're also just getting a wider variety of food groups in general so that you can hit all of those macro and micronutrient needs.
All right, Allison, was there anything else that you'd like to leave for the viewers at home as far as nutritional education?
I just keep trying to find ways to make healthy food at home that you
Right.
like. I know that it can be a huge battle to go to the grocery store and feel like you're on a budget and you don't know what to get, and it's really tempting to go towards those packaged foods. But if you try a different recipe every week, you're going to find foods that you like and that are easy to shop for and that meet your budget restrictions.
All right, well, thank you so much, Allison. I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for coming on to KTK Plus today.
Thank you so much, Tristan. It's great to be here.